Welcome to the world's most fabulous people series. I'm your host today, Tonya Hofmann, and I love showing you the incredibly fabulous people that I get to meet all the time and bring them into your living room or your phone or wherever you're watching it today. And today, I I'm blown away by our guest today because not only is she an incredible friend, but a real mentor as well. That's when you know that you're hanging around the right people is when they can give you as much value as you give them. So it's an equally mutual loving society that we have for each other. So I want to introduce you to Miss Norma Hollis. Hey, Norma.
Hi, Tonya. Thank you for the wonderful, wonderful introduction. I appreciate that because you're fabulous and I love you too.
Oh, I'd see. It's mutually admiration in society.
Those are the best kind, aren't they?
Exactly. So tell us, Norma, about, how fabulous are you?
Well, how fabulous can one get? Fabulous is a relative term and it vacillates as you grow. When I was very young, I thought I was quite fabulous, and my family helped me see myself in a different way. Unfortunately, my family's view stayed with me for longer than I would have liked it to. So I've always been believing in my fabulousness, but not quite able to find it because I didn't have that much support for it, when I was a child, and childhood has so much to do with who we are. But I've kind of waded through all that stuff and stayed full of belief and following a lot with that inner voice that speaks to within me that I know is fabulous and believing that voice. And eventually I kind of opened the onion and got down to the depths of the core of my fabulousness. So I am at the, I'm beginning a new level of fabulousness. In fact, I went to a high level of fabulousness in several areas. First, I was in early childhood and I directed preschool programs and couldn't go any further with that. And then I developed this program for personal development and putting that online now. And now I'm about to embark on some brand new issues of fabulousness. So fabulousness continues to grow. And the more you open yourself to allow it in, the more it comes and grabs you. I love that.
I love that too. I think that's what really it is. It's about self-growth and personal development. So as we're talking about personal development, have you really been all that fabulous? You kind of hinted about, family and, getting into your head, but have you really struggled with the fabulousness part?
Well, I guess I have, because I was also raised in a family where you didn't brag on yourself. You were very modest. So, and then because I'm a quick thinker and I've learned that I have a fabulous brain, which I was not told that when I was a child. So I always kind of cowered into really being myself. So, again, peeling the onions open and the layers and getting past that, it helps to open up one and then enables me to accept my fabulousness because I didn't even accept it before because I didn't believe it. But the believability comes in time.
I know it was so hard for me. I think we've taken a lot of the same journey. So, can you give our incredible listeners, a incredibly fabulous tip or information that they can learn from you today?
Well, I guess, my platform is all about authenticity and being your true, real self. And it's my belief that your fabulousness is grounded in who you truly are. And who you truly are is grounded in the gifts and talents that we were born with. I believe we were all given a legacy at our birth, which is the legacy of our gifts and talents, those things that are natural for us, that come easily for us. Unfortunately, as children, people try to beat that out of you and make you conform to society. Because one of my fabulous gifts that I have is what they call the mathematical logical gift, which means I can see the big picture. I can see people will go everywhere and I can go directly to be real clear on what the answer is to an issue. And my family called me being a general because I always was making the decisions. Well, that was my gift. So rather than beat it down, accept it. So accept what your gifts are, whatever they are, even if they've been beaten out of you over the years. If you go back to your childhood and think about the things you did very easily, that came very naturally to you, or the things you really enjoy doing now, that's the seed of your fabulousness. So do them. And if you can find a way to earn income or make the primary part of your day a part of that, you're going to be even more fabulous.
Uh, Wonderful. I mean, see why she's so incredible. I mean, hello. So I know, for me, some of the biggest lessons I've ever learned in my journey to being fabulous was incredibly embarrassing. Did you have like an embarrassing moment that you really learned something?
It's one I would prefer to forget, but because it compromised my authenticity and it helped me see a side of myself that I didn't really know was there. So, and it wasn't that long ago, it was a few years ago. And I was up for a contest. And the contest had to do with how many votes you could get. And it wasn't even that critically important to me, but it was, I guess it brought back some of my rivalry with my sister, because we were born the same year. She in January, me in December, and there was always a little bit of a rivalry going on. So one of my clients, in fact, referred me to this contest, and then she decided to apply too. And next thing I know, she was getting more numbers than me. I said, how could that be? She's my student. So, and so then that was my sister coming in, so in the process, I've sent an email out to a lot of people that are on my list and asked them to support and vote for me. And one of them sent back and said, he's from out of country. He says, well, Norma, I have this system that I can give you multiple votes. How many do you want? I said, no, I'm not going to do that. But then I said, okay, I'll do that. But not only did I do it, I then emailed everybody on my list and told them the secret and asked them to do it too. Gosh. The next day, I was so embarrassed. Gosh. So I ended up stepping up to the plate, stepping up to the fabulousness, if you will, and sent the email back to everyone and apologized for not being authentic and took it back and whatever. And it was such a growing experience because the kind of comments I got, one guy I remember said, that's why I love you, Norma, because you don't mind being authentic and admitting to your shortcomings. Another person emailed back and she says, well, maybe that is a part of you that you just didn't realize was there, which was really very revealing and very helpful for me. So that started a little process of reflecting and really seeing myself from a more authentic viewpoint and asking myself, why I did that, going back to my childhood, bringing some of those pains back and kind of chipping them away and letting them go, and just really stepping up to the plate and saying, okay, that's what I did. That's truly a part of me. Let's see if we can get rid of that part and move on to something else. In fact, I even pulled up that email. I happened to look at it. I was searching for some things and saw it earlier this week. And did I really do that? But that's the human side. No matter how fabulous we are, we're still human. And the fabulous part comes, I think, when we admit to our humanness and rise above it and rise above to be the fabulousness that we can.
And I think a lot of it is that core values of childhood, that you're like, I thought I was totally over that by now,
How wrong I was.
And I was up for a big award and I was up against a person that has always looked down at me. And suddenly this whole issues of, I want to win, I want to beat her. And I'm like, I am being so ridiculous. And when I beat her, I was like, I didn't really care about the award as much as I was so excited to beat her. And I'm like, okay, I need to really look at this again.
But that's the part of the fabulous when you can step up to your errors. Because I know for so many years I didn't, because I thought my family said you're supposed to be perfect. And so I'm trying to be perfect. Whatever perfect is, there's no such thing. And then berating myself when I wasn't. But just to be able to say, well, I really am human. And I really have lots of mistakes, and then admitting to them really helps me grow. So it helps to humble, and it helps me to be more authentic, and it also helps me to accept other people's shortcomings more.
Love it. I love it. So do you have something fabulous you would like to give our incredibly fabulous listeners today?
Well, I would, of course. I have an assessment, my authenticity assessment. It's a complimentary online 30 questions that helps a person know themselves better. Now, in my authenticity, I generally focus on 3 areas, at least on this assessment, and that's personal development and leadership, that's speaking, because I used to own a speakers bureau, and that's children, because my first career was early childhood, and I love helping parents raise authentic children. So when you finish the assessment, you get the option to ask, you get to answer a question of which of those 3 areas you most prefer. And depending on which you most prefer, you're going to get a series of videos that are going to help educate you in that particular area and give you some foundational stuff. And then there's also an opportunity to have a one-on-one with myself or one of my teammates who can assist you to interpret your scores and understand your fabulousness in a deeper level.
Oh my gosh. So how do they get a hold of that?
They can go to BeRealTest.com. That's BeRealTest.com.
BeRealTest.com. So
That's right. Be real
jump
means
on
be
that.
authentic.
Right? I love that. I love that. So be real, people. Go take that test. That's what we
That's
want.
right. That's right. Well, an assessment. I should call it an assessment. So it's a little gentler when you say it that way.
Right.
Because you're assessing yourself. And in reality, what happens with people when they take the assessment, they get different scores every time because it's a subjective view of yourself. And no one views you like you view you. And today, and it's just like that day that I did that terrible thing, my authenticity was in the toilet. So the answers I would have given would have been different than maybe if I given it today.
Yes, exactly. Awesome. All right, everyone. So go to BeRealTest.com now. After this is over.
Right.
And then also really get connected with Norma, follow her on social media, and then bring her in for if you've got your own events, radio shows, things like that. You definitely want her to be on your next opportunity. So thank you, Norma, for being on and being so fabulous today.
Well, thank you for being a role model for fabulousness and for sharing the opportunity with your guests. Thank you so much, Tonya.
All righty, everybody. So come back again for another insight to another incredibly fabulous person. So thank you and go have a fabulous day.